Hello and welcome to one of the most anticipated interviews for us in our new series showcasing diverse founders in clean energy. I'm Nina Axelson. I'm the founder and president of Grid Catalyst. We are creating new and exciting pathways for entrepreneurs and founders here in Minnesota, addressing northern climate challenges of decarbonization, hard tech, clean tech, energy, climate, all these big topics we've got a challenge for here in the Midwest. We started this series last summer because as a woman who's worked in the energy field for a long time, I feel it's really important that we elevate and create more visibility to the founders who are going to bring in the diverse perspectives and experiences that we need to have a successful transition of the energy system, to have the really great innovations that are going to come from all founders who are out there who deserve an opportunity. And we need to learn from their experiences and challenges and celebrate them as they move into the successes that they have in their businesses. So this is in the second interview in our series and the first of 2023. So really excited to welcome our guest and have her introduce herself, and then we will jump into our conversation.
Hi, my name is Zahra Hargens Iliff, and I'm the owner and co-founder of Vessyll. And Vessyll is a clean energy battery storage device. We are based out of St. Paul, Minnesota, and we are very excited about providing a device that pairs with solar, wind, and grid energy to provide customers the most efficient battery storage for their system.
Thanks, Zahra. I have been very excited to have, even though this is a repeat conversation for us, this conversation with you. I've been incredibly impressed with Vessyll since we met in 2021. Hard to think how much ground you all have covered since then, but as Minnesota's clean tech landscape gets up and running, I think it's so important that we have companies like yours showing the promise of battery technology, and that not only can it be developed here in Minnesota, but that your solutions are on the cusp of becoming global, really, as you grow your customer base. So can you talk a little bit about the inspiration or the catalyst for becoming a founder?
Yes, for specifically for Vessyll, I have a long history of in the development and building space. So I've started in renovation and then went into home building and building energy efficient homes. And I've always been very interested in how the home systems fit together in the most efficient way. And this is just the next evolution of having buildings and structures run in the most efficient way possible.
That's so great. We talk a lot about how the most great entrepreneurs are solving a problem that they've discovered in their other work. So that seems to be really consistent with what you've come to hear. As you were working on that project in particular, did you kind of have this moment of researching, is somebody already doing this before could you talk a little bit about that before you said, okay, we're going to start a business?
Yeah, well, we had heard that it was in existence. This is a technology that's operating right now, and it's really right now growing rapidly at the utility scale. Mm-hmm. So for homes and businesses, there's a lot of growth there, and just learning about it and seeing it and how it the energy efficiency it provides for us, it was very exciting. And it was like, well, I've got to get into this. This is where, just this feeling of like, this is where it is for me. And I'm probably not doing the best job of describing why or what my inspiration was, but I think when you come across it and something that you get passionate about and just really piques your interest, and you just cannot let go. Yeah. And that's what it is for me. And I can't totally explain it, but
I think that you just did. I think that that piece about like, once there's a problem that you can solve and that you kind of see that landscape, and especially for you in a background on construction and development, you're like, a lot of these folks working in tech don't really understand what my problems are and how they need to be solved, because you're coming from a different perspective, right? So I think that's really valuable.
Yeah, I kind of envision it in my head sometimes like it's like a big Jenga puzzle with building and construction, and things all get slotted in. Electricity, plumbing, HVAC, that it's all fitting in. And also being aware of how we use the space and how we're going to move in and out the space. And when I came across or started learning more about, of course, solar and energy, clean energy systems, the battery, the backup battery generation is so important. And it's just that next level of helping us build and live well in spaces.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic. What have been some of the unexpected moments or aspects of this journey for you?
Unexpected. So with my excitement of what this could do and what it's going to do, what has been harder than I thought was raising capital to manufacture these devices. I assumed that everyone would get it like I did, like, oh, of course we need this. Of course, this is the future. This is where we're going with this. And it's not been as easy as I thought it was going to be. And it may be, I know it's a newer technology and not everyone understands. And here in Minnesota, also, we have the benefit of having reliable power.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's a little bit more understood and wanted on the West Coast, and also like southern states like Texas, where they don't have as reliable power, and they can go without power for 3 to 4 days. And so when you feel that pain, you really start looking at different options and understanding needs.
Yeah. Well, and certainly the last 2 years, that's been very visible, and those pain points very much communicated as we look at grid reliability. I mean, even for our household, as reliable as the energy is in Minnesota, once you've had to dump the contents of your fridge just once,
oh yeah,
right? Like that's enough for you to say, what else do I need for my house to have reliable energy? Because even in that 99% reliability or whatever it might be, there's still pain points, and so good to know that the markets will just have different opportunities for you. So yeah, exactly. That's very interesting. Well, we could probably talk about capital investing all day. That should be our next entire series. So that, kind of in talking about the hurdles, also within that capital, is it hard communicating like the tech aspect of things to potential investors, and has that been a challenge?
It has been a challenge, because to me, it makes a lot of sense. And I have to be gracious and patient. And it's really made me hone my ability to explain what the device can do and how it fits so well with the system and how we need it. And this is the evolution of clean energy. I mean, it is going there. We already know it's in place now and growing. So it has made me hone my ability to present and explain the device better.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm sorry, Nina, what was your question?
No, that's okay. Just talking about how the capital, the challenges in raising capital, that part of it is people having a lack of awareness of how tech works.
Exactly. Yes. And I am from St. Paul, so it just feels very natural for me to manufacture here. So it just feels very natural that I would go to our Minnesota base of investors first. And I understand I'm in a competing climate with med tech and wanting more of maybe an app, a phone app or a software would be more safer to some,
right,
than tangible manufacturing.
Yeah.
But I actually prefer the tangible myself. Yes. In something that you can see and touch and play with, and
turns out we need both software and hardware to advance the energy transformation. So we can't leave our hard tech founders scrambling for funding. So I'm glad you're finding what you need there, but also recognizing it's been a challenge. Are there other hurdles that you'd want to mention that you think other founders or prospective founders should be thinking about before they go on this journey?
Yeah, well, definitely supply chain. I
Mhm.
mean, even before the COVID pandemic, that was always a challenge. And I really sourcing materials made and manufactured in the US, I think is important. And coming across things like our batteries that are not manufactured here right now. And I have to buy them from Taiwan. And I think about the shipping, well, not only the cost, but also we're in a realm where we're very conscious of clean energy and carbon. And I don't like to ship things that far.
Mhm.
I wish it was manufactured here. So the supply chain is an issue. A lot of people are talking about that.
Mhm.
And as my company grows, I hope to meet some of those needs too, where it's not so difficult to find the things that we need.
Yeah. And
Components.
you've mentioned in our conversation about the Inflation Reduction Act and then of the Chips and Science Act that hopefully those two pieces of legislation in particular are going to help with that pivot, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just so excited about it finally getting here and us getting some clear instruction on how it's going to look and
Mhm.
roll out. And I hope so much that's coming this month. And they say maybe through March, anytime between January and March, we'll really get some understanding about that. And it's very excited too for our clients. I want to be telling them exactly how they're going to be benefiting
Yeah,
from those monies.
that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. And I'm glad again that we have a Minnesota-based company that can be kind of leading that domestic production and domestic solution, and prioritizing your own supply chain within that. That's fantastic.
Yes, very exciting.
That's great. So we talk a lot about hurdles because that's a realistic way to talk about being an entrepreneur. How about moments of pride or success for you? I used to joke around with during my when I would interview prospective employees and say, what would make you high five everybody in your family because you had a good moment? What have been those moments for you?
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, you have your plans and you have your schematics and your specs and everything and your, tables and benches with engineers, and you're planning everything out. And I think probably the biggest hurdle or the biggest high fives was like when our device actually works. You flip the switch and it's like, like it's so exciting because it works. I mean, you always plan for it to work.
Right.
You put a lot of time and energy into doing that. But actually when it's up and doing what it's supposed to do, that's the best.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to have to be able to produce the high quality device that we were going for, and just to achieve that. I mean, that's so much in itself. I mean, and I can understand from an outside perspective, you're like, but that's what it's supposed to do. But you plan, you work so hard, and you keep, you have a high expectation and high level of quality. And then when it happens, it's great.
I feel like the folks who say that probably have never built
built
anything before. I mean, even when I get a recipe right, I'm pretty excited.
I know.
Nevertheless, a battery, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it's an open road, but you're like, oh my gosh, it works. It's supposed to, and we plan for it. But
yeah, I mean, just to stay on that for a moment. So as you developed, you moved into University Enterprise Labs to do your prototyping. Did you have a pre-prototype that you're working on in the garage or anything? Or was that first device really okay?
We did. And just one battery inverter. Yeah, but in Minnesota it was really not good. With the cold weather, you can't work out of your garage.
Yeah.
You can't. And some batteries are sensitive to colder weather, so it's just not a good thing. And so when UEL, I got that opportunity to be in that space. It was definitely a mark in the company's timeline of a complete shift, because we had budgets and, you know, concerns about how we were going to move into commercial space and make that leap. And it was just something that we could not do. We could not start out by paying $3,000 a month in rent. It $4,000. It wasn't going to, it could not happen.
Right.
We needed the money to go into R&D and for more materials.
Mhm.
So when that happened, when I was able to get the space, it completely changed the trajectory of how it just launched at a fast rate after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know what I would do. I was actually I did a meeting with an interview with someone on the board. And I was saying, she's like, well, where would you be right now if you weren't at UL? And I was like, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
It would slow me down so much. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm so glad you could put a point on that, because as we think about how we take these conversations to make change, that's, you know, making this list of things we can do to better the path for entrepreneurs, right? Making sure we've got the right match on capital, making sure that we're helping founders in these hard tech spaces, and making more spaces like UEL available, because obviously they're not an energy focused lab. So it's great that they were a good fit for you all, but knowing we need more spaces like that. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Great.
Definitely.
So
I look for that to come in the future, and it would definitely like to be part of that development of that too.
Yeah.
And for us to test our products as well in a space that has solar or maybe a smaller wind turbine, or, you know.
Yeah. No, that's a really, we should put that at the top of the wish list, right? This better testing environments for these things. So how long did it take from the time that you kind of set up shop to that moment of this is working?
Probably, now I did officially register and start it and getting hardware pieces March 2020. So I moved into UEL, I think the following, maybe moved in December. And then maybe about 4 months after that, 5 months after that or so.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
It's all kind of fuzzy. Actually, yeah. You're inspiring me though to write a solid timeline of these things happen. Because
when we do the feature on you in Clean Technica, we got to make sure we've got all these details.
Yes, I have to do that
in place.
Right? Yeah, and just for memorabilia, it would be fun to look back.
Yeah,
but yeah.
No, I mean, really, for a hard tech timeline, that's pretty fast in the scheme of things. So I even though I know it's painstaking as you're going and all those points, you should just be very proud of how fast you've been able to get to where you guys are. It shows a lot of hustle and chutzpah to be there.
Yeah.
So that's
great. It can be challenging. It's, you know, some of the slower times it kind of plays with your confidence and everything, but and then you have slower times and, you know, times where it picks up and you feel better.
So I'm going to give you a curveball question, which is, so I have found sometimes that as a founder, that it can be a little bit of an isolating experience, and that, you know, I've been really grateful to, you know, get to know you and your team over the last couple of years, because it's creating community and creating network. Have you and you and Adam, the team, had folks that have been resources for you or been helpful for you that we should identify for other folks considering this, say, you know, who could help?
Yes. I mean, obviously you. Obviously.
Okay, that was not a setup, but okay.
It's not a setup. I know. That wasn't a softball. No. No, you have been so sweet to enter, and it's things like this, of course, but it's also just the referrals and introductions to other people. And like, hey, you should talk to that person. You should talk to this person, and just like keep talking and keep listening to people who say you should talk to this person. That's really helpful, because it's just the random person that you got sideways introduced to that just opens up a huge door you weren't even expecting. Greg from I'm going to say this name wrong now, Minnesota Economy, Minnesota.
Clean Energy Economy, Minnesota.
Thank you.
There you go. Yeah.
Thank you. Greg's been amazing for his referrals and his, even his lunch and learns have been incredible. Just to
That's
hear
great.
where everyone's at and what they're doing. And that just reintroduction to networking, especially after the pandemic, has been amazing.
Yeah. Well, especially since the majority of your team doesn't come from the energy sector, right? Like, well, I mean, I know Adam was working with Tesla, but not here, right?
Not here. Yeah. We weren't so clued into the clean energy community here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's plenty of work to do there. And there's
Yeah.
just some really nice, inviting people. It's a good group in Minnesota. Yeah. Who else? MN Launch was great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were
Launch Minnesota,
fantastic.
yeah.
And, yep. And the some people over at Deed, and we did get an innovation grant, which has been great. Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's our hope that in the next couple of years, it'll be a real seamless connection between the energy sector and the innovation sector here, because I think that our real potential lies in really connecting those two ecosystems, because I have found both in my career to be incredibly welcoming. Like, how can I help? Who can I connect you to? And so for them to, like, they'll become a superpower as soon as they're really integrated. So you all are a great example of that.
They're very sick. I've been so impressed with people saying, like, you say, hey, you should talk to this person, you call them, and they're so nice. Like, of course, I'll sit down for an hour or so with you and just we'll talk about things. And it's like, gosh, so nice, because people are busy.
Yeah.
So it's really been great that way.
I hope you see it as there's like certainly some general politeness and niceness here, but I think for people to really spend the time, it means they see value in what you're doing. So I hope that comes across in this.
Yeah.
So we have really been talking about your experience as a founder very generally.
Yeah.
But of course, we're highlighting you because you're an amazing woman founder in this work. And what advice would you give to other women considering entrepreneurial pathways? Because we know there's a lack of representation in especially women in energy, women of color in energy, in entrepreneurship. But holy smokes, is that where there's an incredible amount of talent and potential. So what advice would you have?
What advice I have? I'm trying to think back, and so I would say, first and foremost, you've got an idea, you're passionate about it, right? And you're like, oh, should I do it? Should I try it? I should tell you to go through the exercise of doing a formal business plan, because that is a fantastic exercise. And if you can get through that and you're still passionate about it, then I think that's a mini hurdle. And I think I spent a little bit too much time worrying about when I was going to stop my job and then start my my business.
Yeah.
And that was just a silly kind of waste of mental energy. You're going to know it. It's going to be very clear when you can make that break.
Interesting.
And I spent way too much time worrying about, when is it going to happen? When you're doing all these little things inside of your business, it's actually already happening. You actually already have the business and you're doing it. You may not be bringing revenue in, but you have a business. It's operating. And to cure those times where it's not moving as fast and you're building, I would just suggest, like, do all the foundational pieces, like write your client contracts, although you don't have clients, write contractors agreements, write operational manuals and warranties and guarantees, like all that kind of stuff that you need. And what's funny is when things start rolling, you need it like right away. And so when you have that stuff to just pull out, even if it's not perfect, even if it's like one paragraph when it should be 3 pages, at least you have a foundation of something. And I found that helped me when nothing's happening. And just, set up the spreadsheets, and there was nothing to put on them.
Did you have that roadmap from your previous experiences in your career, or like, did you have 20 books from the library? How did that go for you?
Oh yeah, I did get 3 great books from the Rondo library
Yeah.
on how to write a business plan. Oh, they were
Oh,
great. Really great ones that tell you how to, structure it and, what the content should be where. That was really good. From my construction business, I did know what we're supposed to have, just the base things.
mhm,
Spreadsheets, forecasts, that kind of stuff.
mhm.
Not to plug this website, because I get no money from it, but there's that one called Live Plan. It's
Mhm.
fantastic. That guided me through for Vessyll for my business plan on inserting
Interesting.
content, and asked some great questions and helped me financial questions, just insert it. Anyway, Live Plan, very good. But all those I did know the foundational things that help you have a business. Yeah.
Yeah,
Didn't
that's great.
that. Yeah.
Were you maybe let me come up with the best way. Do you walk around thinking I'm an entrepreneur? Is that an identity that sits like in a visible place for you?
No, I don't know
No.
what that means. Entrepreneur, and it should. I think I fit the definition,
Yeah.
but no,
You
I
would never
don't.
introduce yourself or say, "Oh yeah, I'm an entrepreneur."
No,
No. Do
I don't.
you do
I just
you
work on what I'm passionate about and the
yeah.
projects that I'm doing. But no, I don't. I think that would also, if I stayed in that space, eh, I've got other stuff to do. I better be concentrating on.
Right.
So
Do you does the identity of like a founder, because then that's like I'm a business owner, does that resonate more?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think founder, yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the operational space. So I do love the decision making. I really do. I do like
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
exciting. And the creative, finding creative solutions. That's probably the best part.
Yeah.
And I think I
Would
have
you
a
have
little bit of
imagined, when you were in high school or, early part of your life that you would be running businesses like this?
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You knew it
It was
early,
just like,
huh?
when is it going to happen? When can I stop working for other people and then do what I want to do?
Oh,
Was,
yeah.
yeah.
That was early for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it led to some frustration because I wanted to be, doing that type of thing,
Mhm.
but those weren't my jobs for a long time. So yeah, not so much an entrepreneur. For some reason that just doesn't resonate with me, although I totally respect it. And when people introduce themselves or say that's what they do, I understand it.
Right.
But it just doesn't, in my skin, I just don't feel like it's like, doesn't resonate for me for some reason.
Right. And part of the reason I ask is like when we had the event in August, a lot of the women who attended have a variety of jobs in the energy sector. And most of them who I talked to afterwards said, I never would think of myself as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I would also never think of myself as a founder. Like the idea of starting a business seems very daunting to them, but that kind of cracked open the thinking for them of like, I also wouldn't think of myself as an entrepreneur, but I could maybe see myself running a business.
Yeah.
And so that resonates. And then also this idea of being an innovator,
Yeah.
even though they don't self-identify in that, they're like, but I guess I do kind of do that in my work. So
Yeah.
it's just this piece of like identity, and if it holds us back, which I don't see it holding you back at all. So that's kind of why I wanted to explore it a little bit.
No, but I think I probably should do some more thinking about that around that space, like taking some time and also being reflective and enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
And not head down pushing through things, moving things along. That you kind of stop, and it's also a good practice to like acknowledge what you've done and be happy. And yeah.
But I totally agree with you. When folks refer to me as being entrepreneurial or an entrepreneur, I'm like, no, I have things I know I can do and I'm doing them.
Yeah.
And they just happen to be creating new business or whatever that might be. So I totally can feel that, because it's not a title I carry easily, even though others may assign it to me. So it's, I also probably need to sit with it a little. We'll have to have like a book club
We do.
of
Definitely.
women founders who can talk
Yes.
about all those things. So,
Yeah.
well, that's my list of questions. Is there anything else you want to share, either in thinking about what you're excited about for Vessyll this year, or anything else that just for the clearly millions of people will have watching our videos here that you want to share?
Well, the little piece of advice I'd like to give is just for people to just keep reaching out in like your industry or networking groups. And sometimes that can be really intimidating. I found even for myself, like being invited to things and still getting anxious or nervous about it. But then when I do it, I'm so grateful I did it. And just pushing through some of that anxiety is really important when you can talk yourself out of stuff to do it. It's beneficial. Keeps the momentum going. Yeah, so that's been really great. That's my little tinge of advice. But we're super excited about Vessyll and where it's growing. I'm looking for more projects in the state, although I do have some projects in Northern California and Mexico that are coming up that I'm really excited about. Yeah, but I'm definitely would really start to feel a lot better with more projects here in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah. Well, we owe it to you to get some Minnesota made stamp on some projects here, and hopefully we can keep the momentum for you all coming into this year. It's really, I am very personally proud of the fact that we can say Vessyll is based here, and that
That's so sweet.
you all are growing something that we should really give as much time and attention to, because that's going to be really exciting for the state. So
I know. So thank you so much too. Thank you for all you've done for us and introductions you've made. It's been amazing.
Oh, wonderful. It's truly been a privilege, Zahra. This is I'm a super fan of of you and the team and the product. So anything I can do to continue to help. So well, that's our conversation for today. I hope those who have taken the time to check this out will go check out Vessyll. That's 2 S's and 2 L's, correct?
Yes. Very good. Yes.
Yeah. So Vessyll.com to learn more about this battery, and check out Zahra on LinkedIn and get connected to their team. It's really, again, a privilege to be in conversation with you. And I really appreciate, as we try and encourage more women to pursue being a founder, being a business leader, being an entrepreneur, whichever identity, really resonates with them to get into this work. And hopefully, like listening to these conversations, they can see themselves in that path a little bit more strongly. So thank you. I'm going to stop the recording now, and we can finish up. All right.